Hey everybody, this is Dave Ander with Little Things from the Dashboard. Yeah? There's 4 seasons in a year, correct? Winter, spring, summer, fall. You got 4 seasons. And out of those 4 seasons, how many of those are you actually going to live? The average person gets maybe, if you're lucky, maybe 75 winter, spring, summer, and fall. When you think about it that way, it's not that long of a time, is it? When you break it down into how many seasons there are, and you think of how much you love summer or winter or spring or fall, whatever is your season that you love so much, and to think the average person only gets maybe 75 of them. My question to you is, what are you doing with your time? How many 4 seasons do you want to live through? How much longer do you want to be here? How much longer do you want to be going through the 4 seasons? See, when you really put things into perspective, it's not that long. 75 is the average. That means if you're lucky, you only have 75 Christmas. You only have 75 birthdays, obviously. Thanksgivings, New Year's Eves. When you look at it like that, that's not enough time. It's not enough time to really finish what you want to finish, or to do what you've really been put on this earth to do. So, my real question to you is, out of those 75 years of the 4 seasons, what are you doing with them? What do you want to do? See, just really think about it. You can either keep doing what you're doing, because if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting, and it's never going to change. Nothing changes if you don't change. Nothing happens without a purpose. And everybody wants all of this time. Everybody wants to live for a long time. And if you don't, well, I guess that's your own doggone fault, because you're living a misled, boring life where you just don't care enough about yourself or others to want to live a long time. That's your fault. That's your problem. That's a you issue, okay? But most people that are doing things that are really productive, that are contributing to their families and to the community and to their jobs and to everything else, they want to live a long time. And if you don't make these changes, and there's no perfect time to do it, or so I've been told. There's no such thing as a perfect time. But I'd like to debunk that a little bit, because I'm here to tell you there is a perfect time. There is a perfect time to do whatever it is you want to do. And that time is now. Or are you going to wait for another season to pass? Right now it's summer here in Minnesota. What are you waiting for? You're waiting for summer to pass, fall to pass, winter to pass, another 4 seasons to pass. For all you young people out there that listen to this, if you're 20, 25, 30 years old, I'm here to tell you, it goes by really freaking quick, okay? And if you think you have all the time in the world, you're sadly mistaken, because it goes by so fast you don't even realize what just happened. So when you think about this, think about how many 4 seasons you really want to have. I know when I was young, I would look at the elders, and I would look at, my parents and grandparents and, bosses and, people in church and all of these adults, and I would think, dang, man, they're old. Well, they were probably in their 40s, and I was saying they're old. But before I realized it, I was in my 40s, I was in my 50s, and I'm in my 60s. Why are you letting life pass you by? What is it that's stopping you from doing what it is you really want to do? You know, why is it that so many of us think that I have time, I can get to it tomorrow, or I'll make a resolution when this happens, or I'll wait for the right event? Yeah, I'm a huge Rocky fan. I've watched every single one of the Rockies. If I've watched them once, I've watched them 100 times, and that's not exaggerating. I've probably watched almost every Rocky movie probably 100 times. And in Rocky 3, when they're standing in the gym, and Apollo looks at Rocky, and he says, "There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow." See, before you realize it, you're not going to have it tomorrow. So how many of those 4 seasons do you want to enjoy? How many more do you want to spend with your children, with your wife, with your husband, with your parents, with your grandchildren, with the people that are important in your life? We take way too much for granted. So, remember, nothing changes unless you change. And if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. And if you're not happy with what you're getting right now, then change. Make the difference. You know, it kills me when people say, "Yep, next year is going to be my year," or "These are my New Year's resolutions." They're not worth the paper they're written on. They're not worth the breath it took to say them. Because the majority of the people, within 10 days of making the New Year's resolution, has already broken it. Because they're unwilling to change. They're unwilling to do what needs to get done to make things happen and to make things better for themselves and their loved ones. You have to think about it. What's your why? Why are you doing some of the things you're doing? Why do you want, the certain things you want in your life? If you don't have a solid why, if you don't really know what it is you're doing it for, you're never going to accomplish it. That why has to be the strongest thing in your life. It just goes by so fast. And for those of you that are fortunate enough to still have both your parents, man, be grateful, because time goes by so very fast. And when they're gone, you're going to wish you took some of that time to be with them, see? Don't take time for granted. And again, if you're one of those young listeners out there thinking that you got the world by the balls and you got control of everything and you have so much time, think again. Because the worst thing that can possibly ever happen is when you lay your head down and you're about to take that last breath. And the most powerful thing on your mind and your heart at that time is the regret of knowing that you could have been that person you wanted to be if you would have just applied yourself. How many seasons do you have left? How many winter, spring, summer, and falls do you have left? Think about that. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. 86,400 seconds in a minute. I mean, in a minute. Wow, I screwed that up. In a day. What are you doing with those days? What are you doing with those minutes? Make the change. This is Dave Ander with Little Things from the Dashboard.